My friends, the great experiment.
Strange new world.
Hidden trick.
Would you look at that?
The greatest trick.
And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
The greatest trick.
Welcome to Greatest Trek. It's a new Star Trek podcast from the makers of The Greatest Generation. I'm Adam Pranica.
I'm Ben Harrison.
I made a decision about this episode, and that I thought my recording might be made more pleasant with the assistance of a little bit of a weed soda.
Okay.
Given the subject matter of the episode today. So I don't have anything super strong in the household. I never do. I'm a lightweight, but I thought I'd pop one of those for the show today.
I love the concept. Gosh, I wish I could join you. I don't have anything at hand.
Oh, Ben, no one's going to notice any difference in me because of this, such as the microscopicness of the dose.
What's your microdose, if you don't mind sharing?
What do we got? 2.5 milligrams.
2.5 is a nice place to be. I like a 2.5 a lot.
Yeah, I did not know what we were in store for in the third episode of the fourth season, Ben. But now that I'm prepared for it, what do you say we get in?
Before we do, I did have one thing I wanted to inquire about, which is, do you have a Kids in the Hall fandom in you? Are you? Did you grow up like watching it on Comedy Central or anything like that?
I did grow up watching it on Comedy Central. Like, there's no reason to make this comparison, but I was always ever an SNL person. Mm-hmm. And I recognize it as groundbreaking and trailblazing and amazing. And I do like Kids in the Hall quite a bit. But like my first and truest love is SNL.
Yeah.
For the sketch comedy.
I really loved Kids in the Hall. I think maybe it edges out SNL for me. It's hard to say. It's apples to oranges because such a different vibe. And so, it's a very long running show versus a show that we got two little spurts of in two very different eras of television. But very fun to see a Kid in the Hall. When we go to Sketchfest, you'll sometimes like be on an elevator with a Kid in the Hall, and I always get a thrill from that. One of my favorite overheards at Sketchfest was we were in line for a show. The people in front of us, they were talking, and one of them was like, "So who's on this show?" And one of them said, Scott Thompson is on it. And they were like, "Oh, is that the guy with like the mustache and the hat?" And they're like, "No, that's Scott F. Thompson."
That's great.
But love me some Dave Foley. Was delighted to see him in this. And let's get into it. It is season 4 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, if you can believe it. Episode 3, it's Human Best Friend.
You know the greatest danger facing us is an irrational fear of the unknown.
Do you need a hug?
And as the show is wont to do, our last time on package is going to set up for the package in the episode we're here to watch. This one relates pretty specifically for the desire for some kind of break. There's a work-life balance deficit happening on this ship, and there is a great bond between Spock and Kirk, having to do with the mind meld that they had. And finally, this friction between Scotty and Ortegas continues. This seems to be an oil and water engineers and pilots kind of dispute that they're having.
Yeah. We're going to make some incredible salad dressing, I predict. Spock and Kirk's junk headed at each other at high warp, as are Ortegas and Scotty's. Speaking of last time on packages, we head into the episode learning that the Rodaxians are looking to bury the old hatchet. Their civil war has gotten a little long in the tooth, and Pike is going to negotiate a peace treaty, but it is a pain in the ass to get to the Rodaxian system. You have to fly through a deeply fucked up part of space with a lot of junk in it.
It's a good thing they have a great pilot. Ortegas is at the con, steering them around these asteroids to safety. Warning lights aplenty on her panel as she flies. Sufficient enough to warrant some duct tape put across her panel?
I love Greeking out the warning light. That's always really, that is a very specific kind of person.
I can fix stuff with duct tape if you want.
And a real kind of person, you know, like I didn't like my VCR flashing 12 at me. We're going to just block that out, you know?
There is a cause and effect quality to this scene and the relationship between Ortegas and Scotty that is very apparent, because for all of the steering that she does around these obstacles, there is an equal amount of opposing force happening in engineering, where Scotty is made to service all of the problems created by Ortegas's carelessness. And he's growing resentful that all of his good intentions are being ignored by someone who chooses to just kind of wing it. And that's a toxic mix for this working relationship.
It's a real Adam and Ben of it all. And
that's in my notes like 8 times with like strike throughs. And like parenthetically, you can't say this.
You know, when you're an Ortegas, you don't want to be mother hen. And when you're a Scotty, you want your space to be kept neat and you want the parameters to be observed. And, you know, when you bump into each other at a bar and everybody is on edge due to all of the stress they're bearing, it's just going to be evident to everyone, and especially the captain and first officer, who are sitting there like looking around the room at people who are really not doing great.
They have all this transit time and distance to this mission, sufficient enough to create a break, right? Like, this isn't a deadline that they're racing toward. They're like cruising their way along. They might just have time for a break. And in the conference room, we see what that might look like as presented from Dendrew, the character played by Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall, who greets and introduces the concept of his facility being a great way to relax yourself. It's the Cesnar Grand, a sort of resort hotel situation, and explicitly, it is a tech-free zone.
Yeah, this is kind of the promotional film, it seems, that Una's gotten her hands on, and it includes some animated series-style visual aids, but also just some file footage that they had of people doing conga lines and stuff at Cesnar Grand. There seems to be a lot of fine print in addition to the just don't bring your phone.
Arrival on the planet is an explicit release of all liabilities on the part of Cesnar Grand or its employee.
It's like the White Lotus. Like, you shouldn't have your phone. Like, we don't want you to have your phone because that's not the vibe here. But there's also some other things that might happen that you should be aware of, and if you care to read the fine print, you might find out about some of those things.
This atmosphere will fuck you up. So what is on the table here is a kind of green Lotus once you go to this place.
It really is. Alpha Shift is getting the shore leave at the resort planet. They all desperately need it, but they're also, like, in the McLaughlin group,
Issue 1,
reflexively resistant to the idea in a lot of cases, because big important peace treaty, we have prep to do, we are dedicated to the things that we came here to do, and we're the flagship. Why would we waste time getting massages and being high as fuck?
There's a very Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1 kind of sensibility here with the, like, it sounds like paradise. Of course, nothing bad will happen, though I fear it may.
I promise you, this will be the best shore leave ever.
Chapel has looked into the atmospheric drug situation and determined that it is kind of a victimless crime. Like, there's not going to be a hangover. They will go there and be high, and then when they leave, they will not be high. And they shouldn't worry about it. They should just accept this opportunity to cut loose. And eventually, it seems like everybody does accept, and we're in the shuttle, and everybody's in their civilian clothes. Really, really throwing some great looks. I mean, the all black leather look that La'an does is sort of indicative of a very specific kind of relaxation that she might have in mind, but
way to pull it back from like pimp feather hat Picard. Like there is a little bit of restraint to what we're seeing this time around when we do a field trip like this.
Yeah. I was surprised to see what the place looked like from the air because it looks very not tech free. It's very like neon sign and bright glittery. This is not an ascetic like monastery cut free environment. Like they're not going to have a shamanistic ayahuasca type experience here.
You need to understand that the people who live on this planet do not feel the effects of its atmosphere the way visitors do. Because Dendru doesn't, clearly. Like, he presents himself as someone unaffected. But also, you must hope very badly that everyone on the construction site making these buildings was not stoned off their ass during.
Right. They're not adding several floors to a very old structure that maybe doesn't have enough steel in the columns to support what they're doing.
Exactly.
Scotty does not care for the way Ortegas puts the shuttle down. It is a bumpy landing, and he kind of thinks she did it on purpose. Amidst all this bickering, we learn that the atmospheric effects will happen the second they are exposed. And when the door opens up, that is illustrated in true 60s head trip fashion in a very fun way.
Didn't you think this would be puppet episode? I kept waiting for the puppets to happen because puppets have been threatened in season 4. And so I'm like, obviously this would be the perfect spot for that.
Puppets almost feel like a hallucination to me at this point. Like I almost feel like maybe did we collectively imagine puppet and it's not actually, I'm
looking at the camera when I say this to all the FODs out there. Hey, FODs, puppets do not happen this episode. Puppets remain a threat in season 4.
And instead, they just get super fucking high immediately. And I was not expecting it to be this. Like I was thinking like, oh, they'll be like pleasantly buzzed, like they've had a 2.5 milligram weed soda kind of an energy, like just kind of edging into their awareness that they're a little bit altered. But no, they're like tripping the fuck out. And the smash cut really underlines this because we wake up in The Hangover and maybe a little bit of forgiveness because of the inebriation, but Ortegas is wearing somebody's culture as her costume. And that's not great. She's got the Andorian headband with the broken Rin antenna even. Terrible to see.
I'm so glad you explained that to me. I was lost until we got there. That's great. The Rin specificity of that.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Scotty is in a Mugatu. I don't know if this counts as furry. Could you show up at a furry convention as a Mugatu and be accepted?
I think it is the literal definition of that. I think so. I think he is furry.
He is furry. And this is a like punch to the face when she thinks actual Mugatu before she realizes not actual Mugatu.
Ben, between the trashed furniture and walls and the little critters roaming around this room, I think this just may be how rooms come at the Rio now.
I mean, the one time I stayed there, the first room I checked in did have a couple of half watermelons with a bunch of knives stabbed into them and a tribble or two.
Yeah, and a dead-looking Magato.
Yeah.
Would you look at that?
They really had fun set dressing this incredibly fucked up hotel suite. And like neither of them are stable. Scotty seems like also drunk in addition to having slept off whatever happened that got them into these costumes.
What did you make of the performance that confirmed nothing sexual happened between Ortegas and Scotty? I thought in so many ways, in so many shows, this would be the scene where it's like, oh God, we accidentally fucked. And that's an energy to it. But that energy is not in this at all. And I can't figure out what they did to keep it so absent, because it's not said explicitly at all.
The fact that they're both fully clothed and he is more than fully clothed, I feel like is part of that. The way they wake up, not in a bed, but just like on a floor. Also, I mean, you know, Snoop Dogg famously doesn't want to mess up his bed.
Then little half dead put his dick on her head.
But, you know, I don't know if Ortegas and Scotty observe the same rules when they're having a sleazy hookup. But yeah, like there are a couple of times in this episode where my mind went to that, and I was like, is this going to be about like they already did something and they feel weird and bad because they don't remember it, and that kind of, you know, like that maybe in a utopian future there is less of a messed up, you know, consent consideration in a context like that. But in our society, like that's a problem. And it is hard to watch this without like your mind wandering over to that and being momentarily distracted by it. But I think they did a really good job of keeping this on the rails and not about a thing that is not the vibe of this episode at all.
It is insane to say these words, but I was impressed and grateful for how restrained this episode was in that particular area, because this just would have been too much.
Dendrew is at the door again, and he has a message for Pike, and he cannot find Pike. And this message is on paper because of the tech-free environment they're trying to cultivate here. And so this sends our two very confused characters off on a bit of a quest. They've got to go around the hotel trying to find the captain. And they kind of confront Dendrew about like, what is going on that we can't remember anything that happened up until now. And he's like, oh yeah, like if you guys are like really hanging on to the negative emotions, like the atmosphere can do that. You should have read the full contract, basically.
The fine print clearly directs you to read the microprint, so really it's all quite legally binding.
This is the moment in the recap where I need to do the full disclosure of I have never seen a Hangover movie.
Wow.
And I am wondering if this is that. Because I sort of like, through osmosis, I've sort of absorbed the idea that The Hangover is about the morning after and trying to piece together what happened to get our characters there. And this is a version of that, right? Inspired by that?
I think so. I've only seen the first one, and I think this is, I can say with confidence, an explicit nod to the Hangover films, but I also don't remember it well enough to know where it is a nod and where it isn't specifically. And I think that like my understanding, not remembering it super well, is that the Hangover films are one of those things that really aged bad fast. And like when people go back and look at them now are like, what the fuck? Like, I can't believe that the studios even made a movie like this in the era that they made it.
Sure. But like as a piece of media in the zeitgeist, in the format that it is, I think it's important to draw the comparison if there is one.
Yeah. So they decide to depart together because Scotty is a little bit too knife curious and a little too wasted to be left alone. So they walk down the hall where people are, you know, in full festival regalia and full festival headspace, where some of them are licking the walls and others are, you know, dancing and in their own little world. And they find Spock's quarters, and
he's hammered.
He is deeply fucked up in the most overt possible way for a Vulcan.
As you can no doubt see, I am quite incapacitated.
You are?
Entirely.
You seem pretty normal.
He apologizes for being so drunk. Unfortunately, he doesn't know where Pike is gone. He does suggest that La'an would be a good person to have around. She's out there somewhere as well. He has been occupying his time by playing a board game with Kirk, or 2 or 3. Like, we see the 3D chess in the room, but he refers to board games that he's playing with him. And he is almost positive that Kirk is only there in his mind.
They definitely don't interact with Kirk, so that seems to corroborate. And like, I have taken some drugs in my day.
Woo!
I have never taken one that made me see shit that wasn't actually there. And I can imagine that being deeply unsettling for a certain kind of person.
Your Central Park mushroom trip, wasn't that?
I've never gotten high on mushrooms. I have mushrooms in my possession, and they don't seem to work on me.
Huh.
But I've taken LSD a few times, and LSD is not a delusional drug, as far as I understand. Maybe at like very high doses, but
I was confusing the types of drugs that you've taken in your past and told stories about. So yeah,
I've had like the bath mat is breathing and the clouds look totally amazing, but it's not like I'm seeing shit that doesn't exist, you know?
It almost goes without saying that you shouldn't take drug, prescription, or otherwise advice from a couple of Star Trek podcasters. But like, I do know you shouldn't mix psychedelics with antidepressants, Ben. So definitely don't do that.
I'm in the care of a psychiatrist who is guiding my hand confidently.
Exciting.
Here's the thing. One of my antidepressants interacts with the receptor that mushrooms do, and so they don't work for that reason.
Just in those brains hitting switches.
Yeah. I'm pushing every button on the elevator, seeing which floor I want to get off at, you know?
That sounds like a suicide joke.
Yay! Yeah, so Spock has heard about Ortegas fighting a dragon out in the hallway, and he's like, maybe that's what all the excitement is that you can't remember. Anyways, maybe Pike is at Uhura's. I think he was going to the party that she was throwing. And they're like, all right, well, we'll head down the hallway and knock on that door. And the second they leave, you think we're going to go with them, but no, we stay with Spock, where Kirk appears, and we have a whole conversation with them.
Yeah, it seems like their previous mind meld might be a reason for his presence there. Another knock, another door, and this one leads to Uhura's party, and she is feeling great, like aspirationally great. The sort of partier that you want to be and be around. The vibes are immaculate here.
Their vibes are not. And their vibes are not welcome at her party. And I think that like one of the most aspirational things about Uhura in this scene is she is having a great time and wants them to have a great time, but she knows that the time they are having will not mix well with the time she is having. And therefore they are not welcome in her party in a way that is like disappointing to them, but not shitty.
One thing I really like about this script is how often the word journey is used to describe someone's trip in a way that makes me want to barf in my own mouth every time I hear it in real life, because not everything is a journey.
Yeah.
We're all on our own journeys here. Why would my journey involve breaking my arm and maybe a dragon?
Pike maybe came and went, but is not presently at the party, so Uhura can't help them. But if they could grab some cookies and bring them back, that would be huge. Would be appreciated.
It seems like the bar would be the best place to find whoever you're looking for, right? Big place, a lot of folks are there.
It's a central hub, and Tabani Katiler is a popular artist in this universe, and so Una is doing some of her work as a karaoke song.
Our SVP Bonnie Tyler.
Whoa.
At the time of this recording, recently has died. Like, she died yesterday, Ben.
Holy shit, what the fuck?
Isn't that wild?
I did not know. Oh, man. Bummer.
Yeah, you've never heard Total Eclipse of the Heart until you've heard it in the original Klingon, I guess. I don't love Udon Shin Riley's takeover of the karaoke stage. She's doing a one-person show and crammed the fishbowl full of her tickets.
Yeah, I mean, we don't stay in the bar for long enough to know whether this is appreciated or hated, but the bar also does not seem to be a place with the kinds of rules that I have become accustomed to as a person who has gone to bars, because Dr. Mbenga is just behind it, attempting some flair bartending and doing a bad job of it.
I've thought a lot about how there must be so many differences in future centuries in a jobless, currency-less future.
Yeah.
That have to do with who's responsible for certain jobs that maybe don't pay, and that maybe you do go behind the bar if you want to, because who gives a shit, really, in the long run?
Right. And maybe there's like a Roomba dealing with all the broken glass that comes of that.
We need to score a lot of platinum fast.
Licensed businessman.
Well, there's a new ship. She's got the right name. She's got the right name. Now, you remember that, you hear?
Cocktails and Dreams would never hire Dr. Mbenga with those Butterfingers. He may not know how to handle a bottle, but he does know where the captain is. And he happens to be sitting in a tattoo parlor getting a horse put onto his arm, and he is tripping pretty hard during. You're not supposed to tattoo a person if they appear inebriated, right? Isn't that like one of the main rules of being a tattoo artist?
I mean, nothing above the neck, I think. It's like one of the main rules and one of the main ignored rules, right?
Yeah.
I bet certain oyster farmers in Maine wish there were tattoo artists that observed the rules a little bit more carefully.
Bad news, Ben. The Rhodaxian diplomats are coming to them, according to the letter they hand to Captain Pike. This is confusing to Ortegas and confusing to me at the moment, because I thought they had a long time before getting to their appointed meeting place. No, the plan has changed.
It went from 2 weeks to 2 hours. And
the 2 hoursness feels dangerous.
That means we got to get back to the ship. So go get the van, scoop up the kids from the various festivities they're engaging in, and get back here.
And then by the time you come back, I'll be done with the horsey thingy on my arm.
Star Trek comes very close in this episode to understanding what I find most interesting about the Star Trek universe, which is how a parking garage works and how you find your vehicle when you get to one. And this entire scene where Scotty and Ortegas are like flipping through the monitor trying to find where they parked is like, fucking shoot this into my veins. Like, I love how shit like this works in the future.
It kind of seems like one of those like semi-automated parking structures like you see in there's like maybe a Mission Impossible movie where there's a fight scene in one where like the cars are going up and down and everybody's like falling off of the edge of shit.
Or like, isn't it a CarMax thing? Like a vending machine for cars that you encounter sometimes?
Yeah.
Maybe that's just a California thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I've heard about that. Like it like is revealed to you and you get to drive away in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it is not where they left it. It's not in the parking spot they expected it to be in. And they also don't really remember like what could or would have happened to it. Like, has it been stolen? Has it been towed? Didn't we have some keys? Like, didn't it like need some keys to work? Oh yeah, maybe we gave it to the attendant. I think we did give it to the attendant. They seem to be putting some memories together that they share. And they go to her, and she's sitting in there behind the glass. And it's like, yeah, you should have it. I gave it to you.
The thing about the future is that there is no amount of time where a parking lot attendant suddenly becomes helpful in any way at all. They are always ever going to be like this.
Even in a utopia where everything is drugs, the parking attendant isn't going to help that much.
Yeah, so if this attendant gave the keys to Scotty, Scotty can't remember where he put those keys. And how are they going to find both the keys and the shuttle? A tricorder would come in handy for that.
Yeah.
But he left his on the shuttle.
That's in the shuttle. But as we were deboarding, there was some talk of Uhura also bringing a tricorder because she is another one of the workaholics on board and wanted to get the syntax of the Rhodaxian formal diplomatic language just right. And so like maybe we go back to her.
They take a journey back to Uhura's room, where she says it's not her journey to give them the tricorder, until they make the case that maybe their journeys are entwined somehow. And this seems like enough of an argument to get her to hand it over.
All she needed was for their journey to be a journey that she could approve of, that involved some apologizing. And so they get it. And I love the screen of the tricorder being too bright for them. Actually, like, don't want to look at. They get it open. This was when I started to like sort of suspect that Scotty knew more than he was letting on, because he says like, oh yeah, I can see it in the security system, and then like chucks the tricorder nowhere near Ortegas, goes off the balcony and smashes into a million pieces on the floor.
We learned something really important here, and that is that there is a security network in this facility and a network hub in the central office. Going there is going to be what they want to do next, because without the tricorder that is now smashed on the floor below them, that's going to be their best chance to find what they're looking for.
But who among us is straight enough at this point to hack the mainframe? Whom among the Starfleet crew could think through something as complicated as that?
If I had to choose an elite hacksaw, it would be Spock.
Yeah. All he's missing is like a plastic 20-ouncer of Mountain Dew Code Red and a pair of glasses with yellow lenses, right?
You know you seem totally fine.
Absurd.
I really and truly feel like the moment Spock mind melds a plant in this office is going to be the sort of divisive moment in new Star Trek where you're either with the show and what it's trying to do and the absurdity of the possibilities here, or it's dead to you. Mm-hmm. I really think that this is a significant moment in Strange New Worlds.
What? Read the plant mind?
It felt significant to me because I felt like season 4 is winning me back when something as silly as this happens. And like, I also love the like repeated gag of them figuring out a way for Ortegas's hands to be up like this when she turns into a cactus in his mind.
That runner is a lot of fun because Spock is constantly seeing Ortegas and Scotty as plants.
There is an area in this town or city or whatever it is that they're in. Maybe it's just an area in the resort. I don't know. But it's run by a local gang of thieves. And the shuttle is on the roof of a building in that area. So
this is an unfortunate aspect to a lot of parts of the world that make a lot of money from tourism. You go to these places and they're little compounds smack dab in the middle of some unsavory places.
Yeah. And, who knows what depraved colonialist adventures have impoverished these people and forced them into a life of crime. But we're going to need to bring our own muscle to this adventure.
Important to place the blame where blame is due.
So we're going to go get La'an. And Spock is like, yeah, I'm going to stay back because you guys are plants. This is when Kirk shows back up. We keep having this thing happen where Ortegas and Scotty leave the room, and instead of going with them, we stay with Spock, and Kirk appears and re-expresses the depth of their friendship.
We've talked a lot about Picard's condition in season 1 of our hit Star Trek podcast, The Greatest Generation, and how that has evolved over time. I feel like we are in a pattern now with Spock where we've gotten several episodes this season where his imagination is playing tricks on him, mm-hmm. and he is being put on his mental back foot as a result.
Totally.
This is a weakened version of him.
A weakened version, atop a weakened version because of, you have to imagine mind melding with a plant, sharing thoughts with a plant has to take a little bit of the edge off of your mental blade.
Sure.
And so in this diminished state, he and Kirk talk about how maybe Spock does need a human best friend with whom he can be vulnerable about his hopes and dreams.
Okay, buddy. Let's talk.
What a nice thing to have someone to dump on to get him out of his rumination cycle that he's going through.
Interesting that the title comes from the B story, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Would you believe the relaxation class isn't necessarily relaxing when La'an is its instructor? I sure do.
She's kind of turning the yoga studio into a dojo and is very excited when they offer her a channel through which to pour that particular energy.
Bring a stick.
And like we are in gang-related environs so quick. We're in like a big warehouse area where there are a lot of like camouflage tarps thrown over nondescript piles of merchandise or something. The gang is like kind of off over there and they're like, all right, La'an, you're going to go deal with them, right? And she goes and maybe kills the leader with her bow staff.
Oh, I don't know. She really takes apart a couple of these street toughs, though.
Yeah.
And in so doing, somehow wins them over. There's a tone to this scene that I found confusing because there's a lot of back and forth, right? La'an goes out there, kicks some ass, comes back to Scotty and Ortegas and is like, hey, give me your shirt, Scotty. I need to use it as a symbol for something that is unclear to me. And when she holds it up, the toughs all cheer. Do you understand what that was about?
It's like I am now, by beating the leader of the gang, I absorbed his role and his power as the leader of the gang. And now, if we're going to do you a favor, I need some kind of tribute because...
Oh, this is like the fresh fish thing in jail. She's like, I gotta prove that I've got one over on you guys too in front of these other folks.
No, it is more like this gang is a bunch of wimps and I am going to lead by example. I'm gonna show them how to be hard bow staff hitting gangsters. And if you don't give me something, if you don't make it worth my while, I'm not going to continue to help you because it is more important to me that this gang get their shit together.
We have already talked about this moment way more than it deserves. I don't think this part needs to be in the episode. I didn't understand it, didn't need it, didn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like the thing that is interesting about it to me is it does seem like maybe La'an killed somebody and they left this planet with an unsolved murder in the rearview mirror. And maybe that could come back. Like La'an is actually in a lot of trouble for doing some real harm on this planet, but it is played for jokes in this.
The greatest trick
is yet to come.
So once they get the tribute, we're up in the shuttle, and it's pretty fucked up. The shuttle has been dug through and damaged, and like once they realize the keys are missing and like the shuttle is fucked up, I'm starting to go like, okay, Scotty threw that tricorder earlier. And now the shuttle is messed up. And I'm sort of wondering, like, is Scotty specifically trying to cover something up? He made some big mistake and is not as inebriated as he's playing it.
I never, ever suspected him.
Yeah. Well, I just have that kind of mind, you know. I'm a deeply mistrusting person.
Did you believe when the hoods were put over their heads in the shuttle that this was still true? And then when they were brought to the warehouse and tied to those chairs, were you still believing he was in on this?
That really threw my theory into a tailspin because, yeah, they figure out that the key is in this cast that has been on Ortegas' wrist the whole time. Her forearm is not broken. She just had the key taped to her and then concealed inside this thing. So, yeah, now they're in chairs with bags over their heads, and as they help each other free, they start to talk about the shittier parts of their childhood. And Scotty had a lot of brothers, and there was a lot of like blaming shit on people that didn't do the thing that the blame landed on. And they both come from families that, you know, had very high ideals about like familial love, but maybe in practice, a lot of things that were hard to deal with as kids in spite of that.
Ortega shares about her family history as well. And in this scene, it seems like they're getting closer to understanding each other. Ben, this episode was written by Catherine Lynn, who was a part of the writing staff for a bunch of season 2 of Lower Decks. And it makes me think that a comedy writer might be especially adept at writing a scene where two characters are trying to be sincere, but not sincere in a Star Trek Discovery kind of way.
Yeah.
Because I think there are a lot of attempts that new Star Trek makes in having two characters understand each other in ways that don't always feel grounded in reality, that feel very led by a writer's hand. And this felt very real to both of these characters' interests and how they would put things in a way that just made me think that, like, yeah, comedy writers, I think they get it. I think they get how this goes in a way that feels more real.
I like thinking about Umberto and Ortegas in this context too, because he was such an iconoclastic figure that really challenged the homeostasis of this crew in the last season. And as a lapsed documentarian, it is very interesting to me to hear about a documentary filmmaker being described as like good at everything he tries and kind of the wonderkind of the family, like under whom the pilot of the flagship of the Federation chafed because she felt like she could never measure up. It makes his character more interesting and her character more interesting and Scotty's character more interesting in the conversation. And I think you're right. This scene is like super well done. It gets at some like real pathos in these people while not making everybody hang tear and stop in the middle of a firefight to redress trauma or whatever.
Yeah, this feels more right place, right time, right sized in the context of the story than things like this tend to be.
Dendru appears. Seems like he was behind the ninjas that abducted them and maybe behind this whole situation. Like, you wanted this. You wanted the consensual non-consent kidnapping scene, right? The note.
This is the part where I started to question what was real, because he seems pretty certain that he was acting on their orders. And how would you know if that was true or not if you have a bunch of time missing from your memory?
I mean, this is the thing that tattoo artists and the pleasure directors of luxury drug hotels need to take into account, is like, is the request this person is making something that they will be happy about in the morning when their head is a little bit clearer? And it also throws into question, like, what even is real? Like, are we still thinking that the diplomats are coming really soon and the note is real, or was that fake? That doesn't seem fake. Dendru had this idea that this journey was about helping Ortegas and Scotty release anger, and it does not seem to have worked. And he feels just so shitty about that, because that's kind of his specialty, is helping people unwind.
Dendru has some real wisdom around the topic of anger and how a person with that specific affliction can choose to unburden themselves of that. I thought this was a really interesting moment in the episode.
If you look hard enough, you'll always find some reason to be mad.
Do you think that as they were shooting this scene, all the like grips and lighting department guys on set were like hearing the dialogue and going like,
I think you had a different experience with those departments than I had, dude.
I mean, salt of the earth, but always kind of like cranky in my experience. In a fun way, a funny jocular crankiness, but always kind of looking for the thing to be like, oh, okay, we're doing a company move now and it's 2 hours before the end of the day? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think your experience might not be universal, but that sounds difficult.
Yeah.
Dendru recommends going to room C on their way out. There's kind of a pretty big disruption happening there. And in room C, we find out that this is the bingo room, where Nurse Chapel is playing a more aggressive game of bingo than any of the other participants.
Bingo! Bingo, bingo, bingo in your face, Leota!
You know, the retirees do not appreciate these interlopers coming in here and racking up scores the way Chapel is. And I didn't know that this was a part, like, I know that this is a part of poker. Like, if you've got like a lot of the chips and you just like walk away from the table in the middle of a house game, it can be a little bit considered a little bit rude to like not let the game run its entire course. And that seems to be the issue that these vampire grannies have with Chapel.
All hell breaks loose in this scene when La'an busts in with her gang of Ambo Jiu-Jitsu classmates, and Scotty and Ortegas drag La'an and also Nurse Chapel out of there as this rumble pops up.
This was maybe the least successful moment of the episode for me. The rumble did not look plausible. Like, the grannies looked really scary in a way that the gang did not, and the fight did not look like a real fight was breaking out, and I didn't know why any of them would have let the crew slip away the way they did. But, yeah, Captain got his face tat after all.
This feels very much like the flight out of Vegas. The flight to Vegas, very high energy, very optimistic. The flight home from Vegas, always very tired, very sweaty, very smelly. That's what this looks like.
You know, your experience of that might not be universal, Adam. It tends to be a big relief for me.
Have you not observed this in the people around you on the plane? That's what I'm talking about.
I'm usually like pretty locked into the airplane disaster movie I'm watching on my iPad while 1.5 to 2.5 milligrams of THC course through my system.
No one's really happy about the atmospheric effects hanging on. They're still on top of them, clearly, on the transit home. And that's big trouble because on Enterprise, Pike and Una have to welcome the Rodaxian delegation pretty fast, and they are barely holding it together.
It seems like this was all Pike's idea to move the talks up a couple of weeks and move them away from the Rodaxian system. I mean, the diplomats seem to think this is unexpected but appreciated, and Una thinks this is fucking hilarious and something Pike would totally do to himself.
In the shuttle bay at the same time, Scotty finds Ortegas working on the shuttle from their mission, and he's wondering why they were together so much on that planet. Ortegas admits to him that her aggression at Scotty has to do with her jealousy of folks for whom things come easy, because in her life, things never have. And for Scotty's part, he admits that all those shuttles he crashed in the academy are something that has created some helm issues with him. He is uncomfortable with the helm, uncomfortable with Helm's people, probably doesn't like Helm's Deep.
No army has ever breached the Deeping Wall or set foot inside the Hornburg.
Uncalled for.
So this has created like a mutual envy that they have of each other's skills, and those have created resentments also.
They are sort of the yang to each other's yin, and looking over the fence at each other's grass, seeing a greener situation than they perceive on their own side. And as they're talking about this, Scotty pulls a piece of paneling away, and
it's a baby's arm in there. Why do they keep putting these babies' arms in all of these control panels?
He picks something up and is like, "What the fuck is this?" And Ortega says, "Obviously you're not a golfer." And they realize this is no golf ball. It's a bomb. And it's the kind of bomb where if you're holding it in your hands, that's okay. But if you stop holding it in your hands, it will blow up. And so he has to stand there holding it while she runs off to get help. And that has got to have been the hardest, 2.5 minutes of his life, right?
For sure. Back at the diplomatic speech Pike is giving his visitors, Ortegas gets there and like stands in the back and tries to tell Uhura about this emergency situation that's unfolding. And what happens here is she sets off a game of telephone that by the time she rushes back out into the corridor has been completely scrambled when she runs into Spock.
Everybody is still so high. And it is good that Pike got a lot of the like first draft of his speech tattooed all over his fingers. But the diplomatic situation doesn't seem to be going that great. And also there is a bomb. And Spock is still super faded, parenthetically, Vulcanly, but he's going to try and help them. And when they board the shuttle, he's like, what about this isolinear chip? Do you guys know what this is about? And they're like, no, we're not picking up chips off the floor and seeing what's on them right now. Bomb.
Given the last time we picked up something that was strange, no one wants to do that again.
But somehow Spock insists, and what he has found is a tape that a very inebriated Ortegas and Scotty made about finding this bomb in the shuttle, realizing that somebody was trying to fuck with the diplomatic conference, and the whole thing, entire thing about putting the key in the cast and hiding the shuttle and trying to stop themselves from bringing the shuttle home was in service of preventing a diplomatic catastrophe and essentially a terrorist attack. And there is not much they can do now because they're like, we can't transport the bomb out of the hands. It's this incredibly volatile mix of materials. So Scotty volunteers to go to his death. He's like, put it on autopilot, send me away. Like, it'll take me, but I'm too high to care about that right now. Ortegas is like, no, dude, somebody has to fly this shuttle. I'm going to go with you. Spock is going to try and get them out at the moment of detonation.
A zeptosecond before explosion.
He goes to the transporter room where Kirk shows up again. And it's funny, like we just watched the Binars episode of TNG where Picard and Riker have to get on computers next to each other to solve the mission at the end. And Spock and Kirk have to do this as well. And it like doesn't really hang together logically because Kirk's not there. Spock is fucking hallucinating. Why would Kirk being on the other computer do anything? But it seems to help. And we cut to not the shuttle in space or Ortegas and Scotty like confronting their death, but the delegation where they're like really, really disappointed in Pike's bullshit ass informal speech. And they are getting ready to launch into all of the reasons they will not be getting into a peace treaty with each other when the shuttle out the window explodes and the entire gathered group turns and sees this explosion and are delighted.
That's because it looks like a fireworks show more than the destruction of a shuttle would normally look like, right?
And specifically, they cite like one of the two elements in the explosive as being hard to get and something that Starfleet would have gone to great trouble to do because it is part of their ancient formal rite of peace that they have on their planet. And it's a deeply revered old tradition that nobody has done in a long time. And they're so touched. It's time for a group hug.
Thumbs up to Scotty for making it happen.
Yeah, indeed.
Who's arrived on the transporter pad along with Ortegas. They survive.
Why the thumb? Why not the finger that he really doesn't have? Like they could have made a continuity thing here and they didn't.
Oh, like a James Doohan joke?
Yeah.
Huh.
Not a joke, sometimes there's a kernel of corn on your collar and it looks like a pip that shouldn't be there.
Cone.
Well, if that were the case, you couldn't give him a thumbs up.
Yeah. Kirk was there. They actually ran into each other on vacation. He was there the whole time for real and was just as high as Spock, but they like really did make a deep connection.
I actually questioned whether or not Kirk was high in all those scenes.
Interesting.
I had wondered if there was something about him that made him less subject to the gases on Cesnar.
Boy, like the little bit of spoiled milk in this episode for me is the idea that after the events of the last episode, Kirk was like, you know what? You know what I should spend some time doing? Just going on vacation and getting super fucking high.
I think we're going to continue to grow apart on the whole Kirk thing because I think the dad in you is just very, very unforgiving of any aspect of Kirk's life where he does not choose to go be a husband and father.
I don't need him to choose to be a husband and father. I think he needs to like follow up though. He needs to write a letter at the very least.
I think there's a lot happening off screen that we don't know about.
Maybe. You're very generous.
In the Enterprise bar, everyone is comparing stories that begin with the word apparently, and that's fun after a big group party like they've had.
It's fun after a big group party. It's fun when you're interviewing a little boy at the state fair.
And apparently, I've never been on live television before.
The big reveal, the thing that I'd been wondering the whole time is, why are they so fucking high? Like, it seems like everybody else is doing drugs and stuff and doing other shit. Like, Uhura is definitely, like, opening a door and smoke is billowing out of it. Like, there are people getting fucked up on this planet, and Scotty and Ortegas not going after it in that way and trying to hold it together this entire time. And it is revealed that the dragon fight in the hallway was in fact them accidentally inhaling like a shitload of drugs. And then like in retrospect, maybe not accidentally, maybe like this was part of their plan, like wipe their memories by getting totally obliterated or something.
Mm-hmm.
Off screen, the saboteur that tried to bomb the shuttle was caught and brought to justice. And also like peace seems to be emerging on the planet in question.
We get a really nice bookend scene here where we recontextualize the relationship between Ortegas and Scotty. Ortegas is back at the controls, flying the ship through a dangerous area. But once she starts to redline the systems and goes down to engineering, she becomes more accepting of how her actions have consequences for other people. People like Scotty, a Scotty who she now has really strong affection for, like in a friendly coworker kind of sense.
I was so surprised that it turned into friendly coworker friendship and not a relationship for these two. I really shipped them up until this moment.
Oh, I don't need that. Aren't you glad that not everything has to fucking go in that direction?
I don't think everything does, but I like for all of the ones that I haven't thought were great on this show, I felt like this would be an actually fun couple to explore.
I mean, there is a Uhura Scotty thing.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Clearly. I mean, there's a feeder-gainer relationship happening there as we see in Star Trek V.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're getting ready to start laying groundwork for that. And they also laid a lot of groundwork for the fun music video credits that we get. Nice to know that they had lots of free time on set to grab these extra shots. You know?
This is of a quality of a certain type of genre film, like the comedies of the late 90s, early 2000s, the Why Don't You Fill Me Up Buttercup credits of movies of that era.
Yeah.
In a way that like the episode of Strange New Worlds where Anson Mount was accused of playing a Gene Roddenberry type of character. Like, I think that had special credit sequence too, right?
Yeah. What'd you think of this one, Adam? Did you like this episode of Strange New Worlds?
She'll always bring it home.
I think it's my favorite of the fourth season, and I think that might sound like faint praise to some, but I have never felt that this isn't Star Trek is a argument that makes any sense to people who don't like new Star Trek. Like, I've always ignored the people who are of that opinion. But I think technically there is something close to that I'm starting to feel in season 4, because when this many episodes in a row become like little mini genre films, and this much time has passed between season 3 and season 4, I'm starting to lose sense of what normal on this show is.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say is I need a control episode right about now to act as the salt in all of this sugar, because it has just been a lot of very strong flavors where, like, I think there is a version of a normal Star Trek show.
Yeah.
And that is not to say that this isn't normal Star Trek, but I'm trying to say that, like, by comparison, I think we need the control group here right about now. And I'm wondering if that's ever going to happen in a season where we're getting dinosaurs and scary haunted house ship and puppets to come, you know?
Maybe. Allegedly.
Yeah.
I was thinking a lot about that in the context of the Starship's 60th anniversary franchise open that we now have at the beginning of these. There are specific ships that are in it, and there are specific ships that are omitted from it in a way that feels particular. And I think that the ships that are in it are the ones that are believed to be the hero ships of their eras. And this is one of those ships, you know, like it's also there for the TOS-ness of it, but this is the normal Star Trek show, and all the others are the weirdsies, seemed to be the pitch of Strange New Worlds. Like, this is the one that does go back to the control in the way that you're talking about. Because, like, they all do this, right? Like, TNG and DS9, all of them have their genre episodes, their mysteries, their horror episodes, their silly episodes, whatever. Like, season 4 has been all kinds of shit all over the map, and you need to pepper those in instead of having the normal ones peppered in.
It's very pulpy, like pulp sci-fi is what we're getting in season 4.
And it's a ratio reverse. Like, I like a genre episode. I like Star Trek playing in a different space.
Me too.
But I also like Star Trek. And I want one or two of these episodes to be a genre episode where the genre is Star Trek.
Let's go do P1s.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
Adam, we've got a Priority 1 message here to you and me. It's from Tony, the 71 man. Here goes the message. I felt bad for you guys, my wayward Steph nephews, that there were no P1s for the Gargantuas episode, so I'm handing you this one. I know it's been a struggle grinding your way back through the TNG episodes on TGG, so this message is what you get instead of comfort and solace, like the powdered milk of praise. Anyway, just wanted to remind you two that you're still mostly pretty great. Now, get back to work while I get back to my non-octopus lunch.
You know you're going to get a powdered milk reference from the 71 man.
You are. Yeah, and I feel like maybe Tony is taking a little bit of a pot shot at my ethical lapse in admitting that I'm still willing to consume octopuses, even though I have seen that documentary.
You remain impulsive carnivores.
Yeah. But thanks, Tony the 71 man, and thanks to anyone who hears us, go into the Priority 1 inbox and find nothing but moths in there and taking matters into their own hands.
Yeah, I love the energy here of fill in the box. But I also want to make clear this is not a struggle for us to have gone back through the TNG episodes. We're now pretty squarely in the middle of season 1 at the moment we're recording this. And what a delight it's been so far. It's great.
Having a fucking blast.
Yeah.
Thanks to Tony the 71 man.
And here is a personal Priority 1 message. It's to you and me. It's from Evan in Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Okay.
If Adam could read the poem in his /fiction voice with the background music, that would be great. But off the cuff is fine too. This is the parenthetical to what I'm about to read. So I'll try to give this a little bit of the sultry / fiction voice, if I can muster it, okay?
Let's hear it.
It's hotter than a Vulcan's Ponfar blood fever dick and a wool sock, doused in plasma and set on fire out here. So I wrote you guys a reviving poem to slake your torrid bodies like a cold sonic shower. Bound in a damp blaze, cold beer in green glass bottles. Dusk air yields mercy. Is that haiku? Bound in a damp blaze, cold beer in green glass bottles. Dusk air. Yeah, I just counted it on my fingers.
Garth, that was a haiku.
Where do I sign up to Genesis my polar regions?
Genesis? Yes, Genesis.
O'Brien drop.
I am Chief Miles Edward O'Brien. This is fucking spectacular.
Wow. It's been a long time since a haiku heated me up downstairs as much as that one did.
Been a long time since I encountered one, clearly. Had to do the finger count thing on that. Happy to do it.
Thanks to everyone who got a P1 on today's episode. And thanks to everyone who gets one on a future episode. Still a little bit of inventory in our Strange New Worlds coverage from what I'm seeing here, but you're going to want to jump on it because it's filling up fast.
Podshop.biz is where you do it, so get on in there.
Get it.
Hey, Ben.
What's that, Adam?
Did you find yourself an Edward Larkin this episode?
Edward Larkin! I'm going to give it to my man, Dave Foley. Fun to see him. I think he really sunk his teeth into this character. This is something I think is talked about with the Big Lebowski a lot, is like the dude, we know him to be chill. We know him to be a very chill man, but most of the scenes in that movie are about him blowing his stack and losing it and not being chill.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like Dave Foley achieves something like that in this episode, where I think he is actually a really good cruise director and good at guiding people on their journeys. And this was above his pay grade. This was like a high stakes government involved plot that he was applying his cruise director skills to, and did the best he could given what he does, but it was not the right thing. And I think that's a really funny idea in the script, and I think he did a really funny job performing that. Like a guy who would not be a competent member of a Starfleet crew, but is actually extremely competent at the not Starfleet thing that he does, and that's just super incompatible with Starfleet hijinks. So yeah, really fun to see him and a fun character. How about you?
Yeah, speaking of unusual performances, I think my Larkin's going to go to Anson Mount. My favorite kind of work that he does breaks the character mold that he created for his Pike character. And the way that he acts inebriated in this episode is of that quality where I know we've talked about, which is like when you act drunk, you're not acting drunk. What you're doing is acting sober. And so much of his work in this episode is that of a character trying to act sober and being met with the resistance of the air that they're breathing. And that's what makes the performance so funny. And I think he's just so good at that in all of the opportunities he's given. And I'm excited to see what happens for all of these characters and their careers after the show is over, but maybe most interested in seeing what the hell Anson Mount does, because he can do a lot of very weird things as an actor, and it could be any kind of thing that he does next.
It really feels like that. I mean, I think as a male actor of a certain age who can pull the gravitas that he can pull, that is probably the most tempting and highest remuneration kind of role that you can get. But like,
well, how uninterested in this show is making his character that, and hasn't been for several seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, he has a producer credit on this show, and I kind of wonder if that's not what he's interested in a fun and cool way. Like, I think as like a person who thinks really deeply about creative process and like what creativity means to him, and has kind of gotten his flowers and can kind of like, nobody can write their own ticket really anymore in Hollywood, but like he can pick and choose projects a little bit more selectively than your average actor, and can steer the ship into the shit that actually interests him.
If you're suggesting that he has his thumb on the scale for what Pike is like in Strange New Worlds, I think it is extremely interesting to think about someone who has received such great reviews for early seasons performance and characterization of Christopher Pike to then say, thanks for the flowers, but actually no thanks. Like, I'm going to go to a different place with this character now. Fascinating choice, if it is one.
I mean, it is a choice being made by somebody. And the thing about Pike is 4 different people played him 4 different ways before Anson Mount got his hands on Pike. And he now has like 5 seasons of Pike and a 6th one coming that are so much deeper and more textured than any of those things. And like, it is his character now, and he can and should make it exactly what he wants it to be. And I think he is doing that. And, you know, and his hair, despite how high he got, despite all the face tats, stayed so high. Amazing.
Well, Ben, let's check to see if any warning buoys have been written under the influence.
Prepare a buoy and launch it when ready.
Warning buoys.
An emergency buoy.
A warning buoy.
Yeah, Adam, warning buoys are a segment of the show in which we express our appreciation for folks who recommend the shows to others. If you like what we do here, we sure hope you will take the brief time it takes to leave a 5-star review in your podcatcher, or recommend the show on social media. And if you do, we might find it and you might hear your words coming out of our mouths.
Ben, here's a 5-star review from Apple Podcasts left by a person going by That Bassoonist.
Oh, That Bassoonist.
Headline ad-free actually means ad-free. They go on to say, love the show for years and was very happy to throw a scarf Ben and Adam's way when they became independent. It feels wild to say it, because I thought it would be the standard, but these guys are of the few that actually mean it when they say that their paid subscriber feed is ad-free. Now back to enjoying my all-nuck, no-filler pod.
Hell yeah, That Bassoonist. Yeah, I mean, I subscribe to a few podcasts that offer an ad-free feed, and you're right, like... Some of the time that is a little bit of an overstatement.
Well, part of the desire to go independent was having control over what that looked and sounded like. And in our new home, we have that.
We're 100% in charge of what comes out now. And there was a lot of talk when we were going through the process of making the decision. Like, you know, people talk about enshittification, and we're very, very concerned with not doing that. We want this show to get better and better and feel
stupider and stupider.
Like, I want our listeners to, like, every passing year that they listen, their IQ lowers and lowers, because it's just all farts. Like, you know, in another 10 years, this show will just be one continuous fart. Like my review of Westworld.
Inshallah.
Well, thank you, That Bassoonist, and thanks to everyone who leaves a nice 5-star review. Please do so. I don't want to run out of warning bois, you know?
Sure don't. Get them in there. We'll find them. You know we will. We'll find them. Or we'll find you.
Bye-bye.
Greatest Trek is an Uxbridge Shimoda podcast. It's hosted by Ben Harrison and Adam Pranica, and it's produced and edited by Wynde Priddy. Next week, we're back with Strange New Worlds Season 4, Episode 4. It's called A Case of Chiaroscuro. Until then, we want to say thanks to all the members who are supporting this show. You can join them right now at greatesttrek.com, or just click the support link that's right there in your show notes. Members get an ad-free feed plus a lot of great bonus episodes, and we really appreciate your support. We also appreciate Adam Ragusia for composing the theme music, and we appreciate Rob Adler and Bill Tilley for working on the @GreatestTrek social media pages. Follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube, and use the hashtag #GreatestTrek when you post about the show. Make sure you're signed up for the Greatest newsletter. You can do that over at podshop.biz, where we keep all the fun merch. That's also where you can book a P1 on the show, and that helps support as well. If you're looking for a way to support for free, you can leave a positive review on your podcatcher of choice, or just recommend the show to someone that you know who might like it. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on Greatest Trek.
Uxbridge.
Shimoda.